Hey everybody, welcome to the Ronline Report. I have not spoken to this man since March 27th. You know him, you love him, you can't live without him. Sergio Oliva Jr. What's up, brother?
Yo, what's up? I actually haven't done any interviews with anyone since March.
Oh, awesome, man. Thank
Yeah.
you. I have all kinds of prepared questions, but you got to explain this first. Your arm is in a sling. What the hell happened this time?
It's been really lonely since my divorce, man. I just been
Ah, 10 points, 10 points.
no, this is literally a perfect example of my life. Like I've been training for how many years now? I've gained over 150 pounds of muscle. Never had one injury ever in my entire life in the gym. I
Good.
fucking sleep wrong and messed my arm up.
So you
I know.
slept on your shoulder.
Yeah, I like to sleep on my under with my arm under my pillow.
Yeah.
And I've done it before. It was probably like a year ago. I did it and I woke up and it was pretty dead. It was like a dead shoulder.
Hmm.
And then I just let it rest and then it was fine after a while. But I knew this time it was different because it was literally like hitting a nerve and shocking my whole entire fucking body.
Jeez.
So of course, during COVID, everything's like a week or two delay. So I went to the doctor and that's just the problem with nowadays. And this is something I wish we could do in bodybuilding is I wish we don't. Of course, I wish we had a doctor for all IFBB pros. That would be the dream. But even if we could just have someone that we go to when we have questions or issues, because we spend so many visits with our regular doctors getting through the bullshit of you're a bodybuilder. First they're either going to tell you stop working out. So I want to go to someone that knows what I'm going to do. The diagnosis can't be stop working out. If it's something that's not serious, of course.
Right.
Or where they look at you and it's just like, oh well, that's steroids. It's just steroids are the problem. So that's the hardest part is I've been going to my doctor trying to do it the right way, and it's been every stupid question. And then they're like, are you sure you didn't injure in the gym? And I'm like, man, I'm trying to explain to them, one, I haven't trained shoulders in so long. But before that, I did legs. Before that, I was actually in LA for some business. So I actually haven't even trained my upper body in so long. But they're just still going to always look at you, because doctors don't do what we do.
Yeah.
So I finally just went to a specialist today and found out that it's bursitis. And I guess we have a bursa sac in our shoulder and it can get inflamed. And when it does, it rubs on the nerve. And that's what's been the problem. Because even if I'm not moving, it is a 10 out of 10 pain. That's just been the hardest part. So I've been living on painkillers like all day. And I hate that feeling. Because one, you can't work out on painkillers. Because I was like, man, you know what? I'm going to take the Antoine approach and I'm just going to fucking do legs 4 times a week and just be a beast,
Look at his legs.
Right. It worked. And that's why I told him at the Cal in Vegas, I saw him and I was like, man, I know at the time that arm was probably one of the hugest devastations of his life, but he now has some of the best legs in the open, and he killed all the shows he's done. He had the best legs in all the shows he did. So I was like, man, I'm going to go back to Dorian days, with the sling and just train. But you can't when you're fucking popping 5 Vicodin a day just to not be in pain. So that's been the hardest part is that I can't train. I can't move. Can't wipe my fucking ass. So
so you're right-handed, I assume.
yeah, I'm screwed. It's teaching me how to use my left, but so luckily it's nothing serious. But this just happened last week. I know people are gonna be like, man, he's been gone for a while. That's what it was. I knew he was injured. I knew he was never gonna make it. But, this happened 5 days ago, and I'm so glad. I'm in a way better mood now. It's such a placebo when the doctor tells you there's no surgery, it's not serious, it's not rotator cuff. Because I knew it wasn't. Like going into it, because the first doctor, once they throw out that surgery word, you're just like, shit. But I even told him, I was like, there's no way I need surgery when I was sleeping. I just know that. There's no way. I weigh 300 plus pounds, but I'm not that heavy. So today they told me all good, and it's just they gave me a cortisone shot in my shoulder, and I got to get an MRI next week, and then I'll know exactly what I got to do.
Oh yeah, that was my next question. What are the treatment options? But you guess you're not there yet. So
they told me that there's some calcium deposits, and that's probably what's building it up. And I guess every bodybuilder has that. It's just the wear and tear.
Yeah.
And they can suck it out. I guess they melt it down. Once he said no surgery, I was kind of like not listening anymore. So I was like,
yeah.
But yeah,
shit.
I'm good. I moved, so I'm in a new house. So that's it's good now, but it was stressful as fuck when you're moving.
Dude, I honestly have nightmares, and I'm not even shitting you. I have nightmares at least 2 or 3 times a week about moving. That's how much I dread moving. So, sorry, dude. But you're in a better spot. You're in San Diego area still?
Yeah, I'm still in San Diego. What happened is when I was stuck in Australia for the Arnold, the owners of the place that I was renting said that they were getting divorced, and then they're like, "Hey, you got to move out," and I'm like, "Well,
God.
sucks for you. I'm stuck in Australia. Like I literally was stuck."
Yeah.
And then they tried to get all tough, like, "Well, we're gonna have to evict you," and I'm like, "Man, please show me the court." What one? There's no court cases because this is back in May and June, you know, so there's no
Yeah.
court case at all, let alone like a judge is going to be like, man, all these people with serious cases, let's go to the guy who's stuck for his work in another country, still paying rent. So once I threw that back at him, I was like, man, I would love to go to court. You're going to lose your ass. And then all of a sudden they're willing to work with me. So I've been dealing with that since I was stuck in Australia, and they made us move, but luckily we found this place that's better anyway.
Cool. So I got a little catching up to do with you, Sergio. So the last interview we did, which I fucked it up somehow and we couldn't even see you the whole time, but that's another story. For that's best forgotten. So you were in Sydney, I believe. You knew by the time you flew to Australia that the Arnold Australia was already canceled, but you had plans to take a vacation, and I think you planned on being there for a while, regardless. So how long were you there, all in all?
Yeah, it was 3 months.
3 months.
3 months.
Wow.
It was wild.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that I was, because we planned, because the Australia's in the Arnold is in Melbourne,
Yeah.
so I went there to go for the show, and then you're right when we landed, me and Chris heard that they were talking about canceling it, and then we were just like, well, we had already got tickets for Queensland, which is like the Vegas, Miami Beach of Australia. It's just only beaches, secluded, no people, exactly right up my alley. So then we heard that they were going to start closing down the borders to Australia, so we're like, fuck, let's just go to Queensland now. And then they did. They closed it the next day. So we would have been stuck in Melbourne. And anyone, I don't know if people really care about what's going on in Australia right now, but Melbourne's been on super lockdown. They literally just got on lockdown, if that's a word, last week. But they've been the most lockdown, where they can't leave their house. They can't even leave their zip code. A buddy of mine in Australia, his sister had a baby, and he can't even drive to another zip code, which is just 30 minutes away, to go see his niece, because they go door checks in Australia.
It's like Red China, man.
It is.
Jeez.
And it's not fines. They're straight to jail over there.
Damn, dude.
We luckily
So,
were in the beachy area, and then people that follow me, they saw I was on the news, because they have just as much fake news over there as we do. So I'm on the beach,
yeah.
and see the cops coming on their bikes, and I'm like, oh shit, they're gonna tell us that we got to leave the beach. And no, they just wanted to talk bodybuilding. He was asking me if I knew High Green and like Bill. I'm sure he was just trying to name drop to so that he was cool.
Yeah.
But the news people were filming the whole time, and then I got a bunch of calls later that day, like, "Oh, you're on the news," and they used me as an example, and the title was "Australia's cracking down on social distancing," and one time did they talk about social distancing. So it was cool. It was a good trip. I stuck out in the beach for 3 months. The only downside is that if I had maybe left there a little bit earlier, I would have been able to have done one of these shows to qualify for the Olympia.
Mm.
So in retrospect, and with me getting my business going, Cosmic, and then me, I want to get better every year. I don't want to just do a show and look the same. So really, in the all in, I'm glad it happened, because I would have forced myself to do New York or Chicago, and I would have probably looked the same. And that's not what I'm about. So that was the only thing, is that now I had to watch people do shows that I would have won. I mean, the condition that fifth place at the Arnold would have won any of these local shows, but it's all right. It's better now, and now I get to watch the Olympia. There's a lot of newer guys. That's what I was saying too, because everybody's like, "Oh, why aren't you doing it?" And it's good. It's good for, like, look, no one knew who Antoine was. Hunter's getting a lot of press. Ian, these are all guys that aren't really getting talked about, and now they are, and that's really good for the sport. I'm so tired of talking about the same 5 guys who are going to be done in a couple of years.
Yeah.
It's like college football. Why aren't we talking about the guys that are up and coming? We're always like, "Oh, Brandon Curry's not as good as Dorian Yates." We're always comparing, the greats, but why are we looking at the up and coming guys? Because there's some great talent coming up.
Yeah. No, this has been a pretty exciting year. I got to say, a lot of rookies are doing well, and a lot of fairly still guy like Keon, guys who haven't been around that long, are really, really rising up the ranks fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember when we talked that they hadn't shut the gyms down in Australia yet, but you had only been there, I think, like 5 days a week or something when
Oh
I
yeah,
talked to you.
shut it
Did
down.
they shut them all down?
Yeah, they shut everything. They literally, the gyms just opened since I was there, since March. They just opened up last week.
Wow, damn. I mean,
So
that's worse than any place I've heard of.
yeah, right. You thought it was bad in New York. They just opened last week. Tony Doherty's been losing his shit, but he literally like went after the government himself. You know, there was people were following him. He made a bunch of videos, got together with a bunch of businesses, and they went at the government and they actually opened. They forced him to open it.
Wow.
So good on them. Right, exactly. But if it wasn't for Aaron Politis, who's a 212 pro, and Sam Pierce, who's an open, he's with Aceto. They took care of me when I was out there.
Oh wow, yeah.
I was able to train with them and hang out with them, because if it wasn't for them, I would probably look even worse than I do now.
Wow. Yeah, Sam was going to do some commentary for us at the show that didn't happen down in Australia. So I got to know him a little bit. Really cool kid.
Good people. You can tell he's like, you know, there's bodybuilders in this industry that you can be really good physically, but man, sometimes they're not all great up there. And it's really great when you meet a pro who's just like a really cool person and they're good as fuck.
Yeah.
So
cool.
He's got potential for sure. And he's a team Aceto. We're all on the same team.
Right. So the shows that you did the Arnold, and I know the Olympia was on your radar. You wanted to do the Olympia this year originally. I assumed, just because knowing it's your hometown and you came this close to winning it in 2018, I really thought you were going to do the Chicago Pro. And I wondered if the reason you maybe didn't want to do it was because it wasn't in Chicago. Enlighten me.
That's the reason why I wasn't like gung-ho about doing it. Right, exactly. The Atlanta show. It would have been so weird for me to be born and raised in Chicago. I lose to Lockett, then I come back and no one in Chicago can see me win, in Atlanta. But right, that's not going to be the difference of me now. I'm deciding not to do the show. That just was the sign for me that, you know what, I need to pack it up this year. What I really wanted was, and what they should have done, but I'm not a top 5 in the world, so nobody gives a fuck about me, is they screwed me in Australia. I should have got my points, because no matter what, I was there, I flew there, and I was ready to go. So what's the difference between not having a crowd at the Australia Arnold and not having a crowd at the Las Vegas Cal show? The only difference is back in March, they had no idea what they were doing with COVID. And now fast forward, when we kind of have a little bit more of an idea of what we're doing. But they could have did no crowd. Why not? It would have been me and Rami, and I don't know who else would have been there, because Dexter wasn't doing it. Bonak wasn't.
Kukla wasn't doing it. Bonak wasn't doing it. So I think it would have been you or Rami, basically.
Even just the opportunity just to stand next to him, because that would have been, even if I lost, obviously, I would have been perfectly okay with just having the chance to stand next to one of the best. That would have been a really cool opportunity. And it would have been 8 points or whatever it was, which would have been plenty enough to qualify for the Olympia.
So, Rami got the invite. They technically, I guess I've never seen him give out more than one invite a year, but were you cool with that? Or because there's 2 other people that I really thought, if I was going to give an invite, I would give it to either Rami, Sergio Oliva Jr., or Kukla, one of those 3 guys. I could make a solid case for all 3 of you.
The whole invite in general is always really like iffy. I think when you're giving it to Levrone, it makes sense. Yeah. I think when you're giving it to Cedric because he's fighting the military, just for him to show up looking worse than he ever has, I think that kind of like scorned them from ever doing it again. But people getting so mad about giving it to Rami, I don't understand. Like, it's not like any of the competitors, like it would be like me or Kuko complaining because we were in the hardest show of the year, but that wasn't the case. It was a bunch of people that don't compete complaining about Rami getting their nomination. And it's like, man, I don't know if anyone's ever stood next to this guy before, but he is definitely one of the best in the world. Yeah. And this is what's happening in the sport now. These guys are going to Romania or going to these other countries and going against one person and getting Olympia qualification. And then really in their head, they think, I am more justified to go to the Olympia than someone who only lost to Bonak, Dexter. We'll see. That's it. That's the only person people lost to.
Right. He was second to Heath. He was second at the Olympia, man. Come on.
Right. You can go in the past. I'm just talking about even just this year.
Right.
But for some reason nowadays, they think it's more justified to go to a country where no one can get into, and that's more respectable than losing to great guys. And this is a conversation I've been having for years. I would rather lose to the best than beat nobody. So I had no problem with Rami doing it. And right now, and I made a post about it, people got all mad at me. Everyone's so selfish right now, but we all need to be thinking about the sport. Everyone's always like, oh, what can I get out of bodybuilding? What can I get out of bodybuilding? And this year, finally, bodybuilding's like, man, we need the athletes.
Yeah. So the thing with Rami getting that, it's the special invite. I don't know how many people know the history of that, but you remember like Gunther used to get that every year,
Mm-hmm.
and that was it was not merit based or anything like that. It was simply because he was a really good looking guy. He had a big Colgate smile. He was a cover model. He had a really damn good physique too. But if you were going to do it merit based, I don't think it would have necessarily been him those years. So people get butthurt when they don't realize an invitation. They can give that to anybody they want for pretty much any reason. I've never seen like a set of rules that defining how this is determined or anything like that. So
Yeah, I just don't know why people aren't wanting the Olympia to do well, because right now we should all be wanting the sport to sell tickets, to do well so it survives, especially with these new owners. Like if it was the old owners who really haven't really cared about the athletes or the Olympia or the production that much, then it's like, oh, well, you know what, that's on them. But this is new owners and they're actually fans. They're fans of the sport, took the sport over. We want them to sell tickets. We want this shit to sell out and do well, and it's not. But we want it to do good enough that at least next year that they can at least come out as unscathed as they can. And to get mad that we're letting someone in who's going to sell tons of tickets. I mean, even if you're not doing tickets, even if there's no spectators, he's going to sell tons of pay-per-view. He's going to now make it where you're like, man, I'm excited to go look at where he's going to place. And that's just good for the sport.
Yeah, I mean, he's why would you not want one of the absolute best people in the world in your show? Of course they do. Of course they do. All right, enough about them. Let's talk about your training year. Obviously, the quarantine and the lockdowns you've been in places that have been locked down pretty much all year, right? I mean, is California locked down again?
Yeah, they just went to it. Like,
oh
literally.
God.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. And that's one of the main reasons I stayed in Australia. So in Australia, and they're like, if you are not from here, leave. This is the last flight to get out. But this was like real early, and I would have never thought in a million years they would have then been shut down for 2 more months after that. So then I saw on the news, my gym here in San Diego got raided by the cops. It was on the news. And I was like, oh shit, well, I'm not going back. At least I have a gym here. So that was actually one of the reasons why I even stayed. But then then it actually ended up being way longer than I expected. And I kind of regretted it. But now I'm back to the same thing where I'm like, fuck, I wish I was in Australia, because now the gyms are shut down here again. I mean, I'm not complaining about that much with this fucking thing.
Right, but still. But I mean, like, how much productive training have you been able to get since all this stuff started?
No, that's the worst part. I got a key to a self-made gym, so I had a key and I could go whenever I wanted. And I had access to a gym. I mean, it's not like the best gym in the world, but it had everything. And yeah, that's the worst part. Even though, so when I yank this the wrong way, it is a 10 out of 10 pain. It is the worst pain. I've had hernia surgery. I've had appendix bust, and I had that taken out. And this is the worst pain I've ever experienced in my entire life. So even with the pain being that bad, the thing that's fucking me up the most is that I was doing so good. I was fucking killing it. And now another setback. And it wasn't like I made a mistake. This isn't something I can learn a lesson from. Oh, well, I know not to lift that or don't do that. I literally slept the wrong way. So it's been so mentally frustrating, because no, I was killing. I was doing really well, and I got my weight back up. And even through all the gyms being shut down, I found a way to still train, and just to now be doing with this again. So no, I was doing well.
So what was before this happened, and their gym went the second California lockdown just happened like a week or two ago, right?
Yeah, like two or 3 days ago.
Okay, so before all this shit happened this recently, what was your plan? Were you hoping to do the Arnold again?
I literally just started my Arnold prep a week ago.
Wow.
Literally just started it.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. So they said today that they don't think it's going to be that much time off, because that was the best thing that he asked me. He's like, well, when's your next show? That was a good sign. And I told him, and he said, well, it's still possible. So it's really just going to come down to how fast this heals. And I think just the more I do nothing, the faster it'll heal.
Yeah.
But I have to do this Arnold, man. There's no way after killing it like that last time. And I know Dexter's not doing it. Bonock backstage was hinting about how he might be done soon. Him and Dexter were having a I'm burned out conversation backstage. And people forget that Bonock's, I mean, he's been doing it a while. We just only cared about him once Kai left. People couldn't distinguish between the two of them because they're so ignorant. But Bonock's been around for a while.
He's almost as old as Kai, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's almost as Kai, right? Exactly.
Yeah, close. They're close in age. He's got to be.
They were hinting that they both weren't going to do it next year, because I was already thinking next year. Backstage, I'm like, man, Rami, Rolly, I can beat Kuklo. Shit, I did beat Kuklo. You know, who else would pop in that would be like, fuck, I can't beat this person. Brandon's not going to do it again.
No.
Hadi can't come to this country.
I don't think Phil would bother with that. He's focused on Athleticon Olympia.
Yeah, he's still butthurt about losing to Kai. He'll talk about it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The same thing with Sean Roden. Sean Roden won't do the Arnold ever again either.
Yeah.
When they gave it to Dennis Wolf, Sean should have won, and he's been really upset about that. And the same thing when Phil got beat by Kai, he was like, "I'm done with the Arnold."
It's funny after judging. Kai and Oscar, everyone's in that pump up area, just putting their clothes back on, and Oscar leans over to me and says, "What do you think?" I said, "I don't know, man. I kind of like Phil for the win," and he was understandably upset. You know, I didn't expect him to like my, but I couldn't. I can't lie.
That's
so hard for me.
I love it.
Yeah, but you know, it was close. They're both awesome. I think a case could have been made for Kai at one of those Olympias between 2012, 13, and 14,
for
3 years in a row.
Yeah. The reason why I want that Arnold was because that was the best. And that's why I tell people in the sport sometimes it's not who's the best that day, but sometimes if it's your best you've ever brought in your entire career, they'll reward you for that. And Phil's physique is just so much more pleasing to us. I thought Phil won that too, but when you go back and you look, we never got that Kai again. That condition never, ever existed because then he got bigger.
Right.
So, and I think that's what it was. They saw a new condition they haven't seen since, I don't know, the Sparry, you know? And I think that's why they gave it to him over Phil. But
same thing with Ronnie in 98 when Ronnie came out like that.
Right. They could have gave it to Flex. Nobody would have complained. Right. And then gave it to him in 99.
Yeah.
Well, you're right. It was such a different level of conditioning and size that our eyes couldn't stop looking at him.
Cool. So going back to, you know, I know you always want to get better from show to show. So you look pretty damn great at the Arnold. You were about very close to 280, like 278, 279. Yeah. Wow. So I don't think you necessarily need to be heavier, but you know, what do you still see? Where do you still see room for improvement that you want to work on?
No, I definitely got to get bigger. See, like the thing with weight is it's getting so misconstrued because of social media now. And that's why I tell people all the time that if you would just go to a show, you would realize stature and height. These are all things that you can't tell when they box down a picture and they put a versus symbol in between this guy and then another guy, another class. You have no idea. So like me at 279, I was small. I do need to gain a lot more weight. But when you hear 280 on stage, it's like, well, shit, Phil's winning Olympias at 260, but he's not my height. So I still need to probably gain another 10, you know, at some point in my career. But things I want to improve on, everything. It's the same answer all the time. I think everything in my body sucks. But the thing that I want to focus the most on is not deflating. So what's happening is that once I start pulling water, this is part of being a pro, you know, I've got down the condition part where I'll come in and I'm shredded. I got my body fat low. But now when I cut water, my body just wants to go back to ectomorph. And I just, between Thursday and Saturday morning, I've lost so much weight and size and fullness, really just fullness, that the amount of time they give you to pump up on Saturday isn't enough for me to come back. So what a lot of people don't know, when I did Tampa, I started to figure this out, that I am, and I actually learned it from my dad. My dad would pump up for 2 hours before show. And right, I'm not exactly like him, but I do have those things in me because I can tell I need to pump up for a long time and I need to use heavy weights, which they don't even use anymore. Just bands and bullshit backstage. So at Tampa, nobody knows, I left the Tampa Pro Show. Me and Aceto went to MI40 and we worked out. We did a whole workout session in the gym. And then I had someone backstage telling me, all right, bikinis on, figures on. And then they told me right when we're supposed to be lining up, get in the car, drive over there. And yeah, but I still lost. I got second, but I would have looked way worse. I probably would have lost even more. But these are all the things I'm doing in the behind the scenes that people don't know. And it's just because my body just wants to be skinny and trying to have to be full and dry. I wish that I could eat and my stomach's not messed up. That's my biggest problem. So in all, to answer your question, I just want to focus on fixing my digestive issues and me pulling water and not losing size.
So the way you look, you start pulling water Thursday morning, typically?
Nah, I start pulling it like Monday.
Oh, Monday. Okay. So at what point in the week if you could pick a look during that peak week, I hate that word too,
Yeah.
where, because you've had these times where you're too depleted on stage. You can't seem to fill out, can't get a pump or anything. At what point leading up to that, from your best recollection, would you have done better on stage if you had looked like I do on Wednesday or Thursday or Friday at
Yeah,
10 a.m.?
I already talked to Acita about it. I would probably say actually that Friday morning, maybe
Hmm.
even Thursday night. But another thing that I stole from Phil is if you watch Generation Iron, the first one, the only
Yeah.
good one, in between Friday and Saturday, him and Hani go to the gym.
Hmm.
And I don't know if people remember it. I think we're just kind of watching it and we're distracted with Kai and maybe he's going to win. But Hani and Phil went to the gym and did a full blown workout.
Hmm.
Heavy weights. He's like rowing like 120s. And I think that's what I need to do. So at the Arnold, that's what we did. Me and Cormier Friday went and worked out heavy.
Hmm.
And it helped big time. I would even did even worse.
Hmm.
So it's just every time, because you know how it is, man. To test something out, the only way you can test it out at a show is for a show. It's the only way you can duplicate. People say all the time they want to do test runs for shows, but you can't. You can't duplicate what your body's going through for the show, all the water that's missing, and with me, my nerves. So really, the only way I can test it is at each show. But I don't want to do a lot. I don't want to like go full out, and then just fucking get last place. So I do a little bit. So we worked out on Friday, but now I know, no, I need to wake up Saturday. I need to work out. It's just, I don't. Luckily, the Arnold and the Olympia have weights, but people probably don't know there's no weights backstage anymore. It's bullshit.
Even at the Arnold and Olympia?
No, Arnold and Olympia are the only ones
The
who
only
do.
two that still do have it. Oh, wow.
And I learned that doing the New York Pro. I'm showing up for the New York Pro. I've already talked about before, lost my trunks, have no money, one-way ticket there. And then I'm lining up and I'm like, all right, I'm asking Juan and I'm like, yo, where'd you get those dumbbells from? He's like, oh, I brought them, and it's just, that's a pro. He's done the New York Pro so many times. He knows to bring his own weights. He knows there's no weights there. And here I am just like, fuck, I don't know what I'm doing, and luckily I was able to pull that out. But that's what you have to do. And this like, you don't need weights to pump up thing. It kills me because some guys don't. Some guys just need bands. I've heard Aceto and Palumbo even say on an interview, if you need more than bands to pump up, then you're not ready. And that's not true for every single body. Everyone's body is different. So I just need to start probably sneaking weights into shows.
See, the thing is, you guys are out there, your judging sometimes take a long ass time. For some reason, you in particular, they like to keep you like
Every time.
those two shows in 2018, man. What was it? It was the Tampa Pro and the Chicago Pro.
Oh yeah.
Dude, they had you and Lockett and you and
Alexis.
for Alexis Rivera. Oh my God, they worked the fuck out of you guys. So I'm thinking, if you spent a lot of time and energy pumping up, by the time you got to that point, how do you still have anything left to friggin' pose to give
Adrenaline.
any real enthusiasm?
Adrenaline. Especially, I mean,
Right.
you were there, Tampa. Tampa, people still call me and tell me that Tampa is the most exciting show they've ever been to in their.
Dude,
It was
dude, it
so
was nuts.
loud. It was so nuts. It was literally Puerto Rico versus Cuba. It
Dude,
was.
we're in South Florida, and the two of the most famous Latin bodybuilders in the world are, yeah, I mean, it was the place, the noise was like deafening. People were just, your eardrums were throbbing because people
It
were
was.
just screaming.
It was after the hurricane. It's so crazy to say. I love the way it turned out because one, we both got our Olympia qualifications. We both got second places before that, and we knew as long as we got first or second, we were going to the Olympia. So I remember talking to him backstage and being like, "Bro, we did it." So that was like really cool. But people don't remember the hurricane hit Puerto Rico, and then someone flew his whole family there? Like Southwest gave them tickets for like $10 or something. So it was really cool that they got out of the hurricane, were able to go to that show, and then the hero of Puerto Rico wins. It was a great moment, and I'm just glad I was able to be a part of it, even if I lost.
Yeah, that was honestly, I've been to so many shows, and people ask me like, what was the most exciting pose down? And I say, honestly, even though this is not as like famous as something that happened at the Olympia or the Arnold, these shows, especially that one, the Tampa Pro with you and Alexis, man, that was so intense, and it went on forever and ever. I was like, Weinberger's like saying front double, they called all the poses, called them all again, called them all again. I was like, it went on and on. I was like, oh my God, these guys they're gonna collapse. I felt like they just wanted to see who will be the last man standing and who's just gonna gonna hit the dirt from all this.
They do. There's been times where you can tell it's really close, and they want to leave it up to the athlete to fuck it up. And I don't know how much footage there is from that Tampa show, but you can go back and look, because after prejudging, they knew it was me and him. They call me and him up, and I say this all the time. I lost that show on my own because they go like this, front lat spread, and then they just sat there. In my head, it was 10 minutes. Yeah. But it probably, it was a couple minutes, but they just sat there and they literally didn't call another pose till one of us broke out of our pose. And I broke. I had to adjust again because I couldn't hold it anymore. And then as soon as I did that, side chest, they changed it. And I knew back in my head that that's what they did. I've seen it with pros. I've seen them do it with Phil a couple times too. They did it with Sean and Phil just to see how long they can hold that abs and thighs pose. Yeah. And whoever broke out of it means that you're not ready.
Well, that put Phil at a massive disadvantage since his midsection was not, 100%
against the
original parts.
Yeah, no, it was rough.
Yeah, that reminds me. That whole pose down story just reminded me of one of the most famous stories about your dad. Your dad and Arnold at, was it the '72 Olympia?
No, when he convinced him to walk off stage.
Supposedly, I wonder if that actually happened.
No, my dad said it was real.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but he says it in a way where Arnold was like, fuck these guys. They're not paying us any money. We're literally the best in the world. Let's just walk off, ask for more money, and then we'll come back on. And that I totally believe my dad was agreeing to get more money because that's all he was about back then, was just money, money, money.
Fair enough.
But there's another one where Arnold convinced everybody to move the show into a room, off stage, into a room, and the room was brown.
Yeah.
Said that my dad faded into the background, and then that's when he lost that too.
That's some baby back bullshit right there. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Come on, dude. Real. That's like, can you imagine at the Olympia this year? All right, everybody, we're gonna go out in the parking lot right now. Let's go. Single file. So you've had some time without the training, obviously, to focus on other things. You've got a supplement line called Cosmic Industries.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think we've ever really talked about it. How long ago did you get the idea, the impetus for this, and what were your original plans?
So I was like, I'm gonna do my own supplement company, and luckily at the same time, my first workout partner ever was already starting to want to start his own company, and then we just teamed up, and then we did it together. And that's just it's been really cool. It's been really fun, and I feel like if you feel like you're gonna make it one day, then you should do your own company soon. A lot of these guys are winning the Olympia and then coming out with their own brands. But I say the same thing every time. When Ronnie came out with his own brand, I'm like, yeah, but what were you taking when you won, though? That's what I want to take. We all know
Muscle Tech, I believe.
No, BSN.
Oh, BSN when you okay.
Yeah. We all know subs are all the same, but what's different with Cosmic, besides the theme, the space theme is really cool. But I have a lot of like stomach issues.
Go back to that. Where'd you get the space theme from?
I don't know. I'm pothead.
No, because I thought you would have named it like Victory to match the clothing line or something.
Yeah, because I don't want it to be me. I want people to want to buy it that don't even know who I am. Like we're gonna do like a comic book. We want to do children's vitamins. We want to get into Comic-Con. There's just a lot of things that I want to do, and I don't want it to be like solely off of me. Like, gotcha. So yeah, we did, and I love space. I'm all about it anyway.
Right on. Otherwise, you would have just called it Sergio Oliva Jr. Signature Series.
Right. That's what everybody calls it. Exactly. The signature.
There are a couple of those.
I have bad stomach issues. Usually I'll buy like Redcon's this and then another company's that. And now I can just make them all together. I don't have to pick one that messes my stomach up and then one that doesn't. I can create my own formulas myself. And that's been really cool. And I've been saying it like Granite, Fuad's company, Jay, Kai, of course, like a pro. Of course, now I'm trying to think of all the pros. I'm gonna go blank. But we should be buying from bodybuilders because not only should we be supporting bodybuilders anyway. This is literally what we're all about. But they've already figured out all the bad shit in subs. They've figured out what's good, what's bad, what's bullshit, what are fillers, what are things that they're putting in just to kind of fill the bottles up. And so that's been really cool, and to be a part of that and doing that. But launching it when COVID hit was probably not the best thing ever. Because we were going to launch it at Arnold. And I remember somebody even said, they're like, man, they're talking about canceling the Arnold. And I'm like, they're not going to fucking cancel the Arnold for this COVID shit. So it's crazy looking back. I'm so thankful they did it because they could have.
The expo got canceled at the last minute. I never I didn't think they would cancel it. I mean, at that point, that was the last couple days for all of us when we weren't really that worried about COVID. It didn't seem like it was going to be that big of a deal.
Oh wait,
You
right.
know, and we've had it every flu season or every couple of years. There's some like super flu that kills a lot more people than usual. We all thought it was just something like that, but it
Yeah,
wasn't.
it really
Man,
wasn't.
yeah.
So
So,
it hit, but I'll trade not getting supplement sales over being top, in the world.
gotcha. So when you were coming up with your product line, what were some types of products that you definitely wanted to have? And did you make any special, do your own preferences for like taste and things like that, dosages come into the design of
Or
them?
just like I was saying, digestion. I have bad acid reflux and I have just bad digestive issues. I have to take digestive enzymes and a lot of stuff. Just my stomach's just all messed up. So being able to take something that's not either making me run to the bathroom or giving me this fake like tingly feeling in my face, but then on the back end of my workout, it's not really doing anything. A lot of people want the crack. I want the stamina. I want because I train for 2 hours minimum every body part. So I need something that lasts, and keep me going. So stuff like that was really cool that I can play around with that. But also I make this like cocktail when I work out, like an intro workout. I'll use like this company's carbs, this company's glutamine, this company's creatine, and then I'll put it all together. Where now we're making 3 new products. And one of them is just all of those together in one. So it's really cool to consolidate one. And obviously, I'm saving money. I don't have to buy 4 different products for one. But stuff like that, where I can kind of like take the best of all the things that I like, even stealing from other people. Like, man, I liked out of FWAD supplements. Like, I like the absorption from this product, and I looked in what the ingredient is and stuff like that. So it's been a lot of learning and stuff like that. So it's been really cool.
Did you come up with the names for the products?
Me and my workout partner did, yeah.
Give me a couple. I got to hear the cosmic theme alive and
Uh,
well in some of these.
the most clever one is Milky Way because it's WHEY, and then it's a picture of the Milky Way. And then this is some muscular development exclusive. So this is what I'm actually dealing with right now. Our pre-workout, which is called Big Bang Theory, we are now getting sued. We're now getting sued by Warner Brothers
Oh my God.
because they think that we named that pre-workout after that stupid ass show. I literally wrote back to them like, nobody cares about your fucking show. Like, nobody's putting hashtag Bazinga or any of those things. Nobody cares. So I'm actually fighting with Warner Brothers right now because they think that they're gonna try and get us to get rid of Big Bang Theory. So that was our pre-workout, and then
Hold
we
on,
have
just call it Big Bang. Just call it Big Bang. That's perfect.
Taken.
Oh, there's a pre-workout called Big Bang?
Bro, there's a pre-workout every possible. It's so nuts.
Oh my God. All right.
So we also are gonna do like the intro workout. We're gonna do like a full moon. We're gonna do. We have aminos, which is stardust. So, and what I really want to start doing is like when everybody's doing like 4th of July specials and like Veterans Day, like normal specials and stuff. I want
Yeah.
to do it off of like there's a full moon, like something in the constellations, just something different.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
it's definitely been a lot of fun, and having a mascot, the Cosmo the astronaut, is definitely going to be really cool. We can do a lot of things with that, so it's been fun. But the not having to worry about am I doing a good enough job, because I always do a good job. You'll never talk to any of my sponsors ever that ever said anything about how I didn't do above and beyond.
Mm.
So it's really nice to know that, because I think about it all the time, and they get so much free from me because I've been a fan of the sport. I've grown up in the sport and gone and see athletes who sit down and they don't stand up for people, take pictures. They take their sunglasses off. I had a picture with someone who didn't even take their sunglasses off. I'm not even going to say who it was. So stuff like that. So when I do expos, I automatically am just like, there you go.
Oh, there you
Sound
go.
like,
We're back. Yeah,
uh,
we're
so when I do expos, I automatically have to like stand up and I have to be like interactive with people. And that's just something they're getting for free. They're not paying me to do that. And that's just who I am. So now I can't tell you what it feels like with the amount of effort you put into a company. You get 100% return.
mm,
Um, it's the worst feeling in the world when you kill yourself. You don't even take a lunch break at an expo because you don't want to stop the line. Because I know I've been standing in line before, and right when you're going to get up to somebody, oh, they're going to take a lunch, And hey,
yeah,
that's part of it. There's
right.
nothing wrong with that athlete doing that, but I don't want to be that guy. So there's so
Mm.
many times I didn't do that, and all I did was make them more money and made them look good. So now that feeling of I don't have to look over my back, I'm also not going to get screwed over. It's just it helps with prep, first of all.
Yeah. Hmm.
I don't have to worry about getting dropped. So it's been really cool. And if the long run, if I'm going to make it, it's going to be a really cool thing that I started my own supplement company in the beginning of my career, and then one day make it. And I was with them the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, why, like you said, why wait till you're retired? Why not get it going now? So by the time you're retired, it's going to be thriving, you're in
Yeah,
a good spot.
because I'm passing up tons of money now. That's why they don't do it. They'd rather ride that sponsor, and they just have to do their 2 posts a week, 5 appearances a year, and you make your whatever 100,000+ a year.
Right on. So Olympia, are you excited for the Olympia? What's your general feeling?
I think it's gonna be different. I
Mm.
think I think no crowd. Um, I think just stuff like that. It's just gonna be a little bit different. I wish Flex was doing it. I was actually more excited to see what the top 212 guy was gonna look like, even just next to Hadi. Even just next to a couple of people we want to see him go against, because otherwise, really, it's gonna be the same.
Yeah.
It's Phil's coming back. Phil's gonna win, and then they're gonna put the other Mr. Olympia in second, and then they're gonna put the third guy who's either showed up looking the best he ever has, or Rami in third, and it's just going to be the same kind of lackluster thing. And that has nothing to do with the Olympia, has nothing to do with the people running the show.
Right.
It's just how it turned out. And us giving out these qualifications to people that did a show 2 years ago, went to Somalia and did a show, like, it's just stupid. I'm just exaggerating, but
We're not doing that, are we?
we're giving it to shows where people showed up and there's 2 other people in the show.
Yeah.
I'm trying to name names and make this into where now we're gonna hate Sergio again. I don't need anyone else now countering and doing another interview how they're mad I said the truth, because that's all I ever do. But there's people that are now going to the Olympia, and they're gonna
Yeah.
take dead last. And it would have been better for them not to travel all the way to another country to do that and actually improve and look different for once. Because some of these people that just won these shows have looked the same every single year. But then why isn't they're not doing New York Pro? Why don't they do the shows in the country? Why are they only doing overseas shows and they live over here?
Well, the thing about it, and now they're going to hate me too, so we can be buddies like that. But if you're afraid of good competition to the point where you actively seek out a contest where you're very certain the odds are very good, there's going to be a very weak lineup, and you could probably win and get your Olympia qualification. If you're not good enough to get your qualification like everybody else at the bigger shows, what makes you think when you get to the Olympia you're going to be anything except the guy that's on the far end of the stage checking everyone out at a 45-degree angle, getting a fourth call out.
You know what it is? Because I already done that, and I'll talk about what Antoine said, because we're friends and he won't take this the wrong way. Antoine did a interview or a post, and he was saying that people that pass up Olympia qualifications are retarded. And like Keon's case, you have no idea what's going on in people's lives. Sometimes their own personal life is just destroying their mind. And yeah, you might have, like me, when I did the Olympia, I arrived at the Olympia and did it. But when I was done with that, I was so burned out and I was so dead with bodybuilding that I was contemplating what I was going to do in my life. I was going through depression and the divorce and all that was going on. But just because you arrived at a building, got on a certain stage, doesn't mean you did shit. So sometimes it actually is better to pass it up. And the only person who would ever say that, and I don't think he's going to take this the wrong way, is people who don't believe in the back of their head they're never going to win it. Because if you really feel you're never going to win it, just going is exciting. But I'll tell you this, I did that. I passed up once, and then the second time I was like, man, I can't pass up again. And it was such a true testament that even though you can be going through the darkest time in your life, you can still go to the Super Bowl in bodybuilding. So I went for those reasons, but I just watched on the side. A majority of it, I watched the TV backstage of them up in the front. And I think maybe once you do that once, you're telling yourself, I'm never going to do that again. I only want to show up and be in that top lineup. But people like Ian or Antoine who have never done, I mean, Ian's done the Olympia, but I think when you've never had anyone talking about you going into the Olympia, it's just like, well, I'm just going to do it. When really, the sport doesn't want you to do this because it's better for them to compete. But really, low key, it's better for you to take the time off, grow, try and go into the Arnold, make yourself a name, and then that'll roll into the Olympia. Everyone just thinks that they're just going to show up one day like Ronnie Coleman. It's not going to happen anymore. There is no more showing up, and they're like, God damn, who the fuck is this guy? Put him in first place. It's not going to happen anymore. And Phil getting his pro card to Mr. Olympia in that a short amount of time is not ever going to happen ever again either. We think taking 10 years to win the Olympia is long now. And that's bullshit. That's short. If you win your pro card and in 10 years you win the Olympia, you did a great job. But because of Phil, we fucked that up. Look at Sean, 45 years old, finally wins it. Brandon Curry's been around. I remember when Brandon won the USA's, and I was like, man, this guy's going to be Mr. Olympia. Literally disappeared. Sean Ray's pussy ass asked him to go to 212, and now look, now he's top in the world. So I just think it's just different now, and now it's actually you should play a smart game. And I don't think you should just do one show and disappear because that's bad for the sport too. People that just do one show, go to Romania and then never do a show ever again, that's bad for the sport. But I do think that you should know what you're stepping into. I would have loved to have done New York and Chicago because I feel like those guys are at my level. It would have been a good show. I felt like I would have won, but it would have been a good show. It wasn't like I was just going into South Korea and I was going to get like a quick win.
Right. Yeah. Man, I just wonder how many people we pissed off in the last 5 to 7 minutes there. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. No, I think everyone's fine with it. But it's interesting. I was looking forward to seeing Flex Lewis the most out of anybody. That's the one guy I wanted to see in the Olympia this year, the most. Well, once I found Phil was coming back, we're all dying to see what Phil's going to look like, of course. And, Brandon and everything, but man. So we're down to 17. The count is now 17 men in the Olympia because Brandao dropped out yesterday.
Right.
And Cedric dropped out last week.
But neither one of them were going to do anything anyway. They weren't. I think Raphael has the best front double and front lat spread in bodybuilding. But when you take him, not on social media, and you put him in a lineup where anyone weighs over 260 pounds, it's just so dominating. And that's why all these classic and men's physique guys are getting so mad and attacking bodybuilding because they watch from their phone on their toilet and they think, man, that guy should be Mr. Olympia. But really deep down, what they want is they want that to be the Olympia look because it's more achievable.
Right.
You can win Mr. Olympia in 3 or 4 years if you looked like that. Where if you looked at fucking Phil, it's like, man, I'm never going to be able to look like that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Bumstead could be the size of Brandel with another 15, 20 pounds of muscle on him, I would say.
Yeah. Right.
And
he's borderline in the 212.
Yeah. Because Brandel's about 245, 250, I want to say. 250, let's give him.
He's in the 240s.
Okay, he's in the 240s, and he's 5'11", would you say?
No, he's shorter. He's way shorter than me.
Oh, is he really? Oh,
yeah. No, he's got to be 5'9".
Okay, then actually there's more of a difference between him and Bumstead than I thought. It's probably like 30 pounds of muscle.
Chris is tall, right? He's taller.
He's 6'6", almost 6'1", just under 6'1", I believe.
Yeah, he's 6'1". That's wild.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. See?
Yeah. So I guess it's like impossible with your injury and with gyms being shut down, but training and everything, what are you looking at? Are you waiting for your life to be a little less chaotic and then figure it out, or what's the plan from here?
And as soon as I just don't have to be constantly taking painkillers and I can just, because I can deal with shoulder pain, but it's like zaps my whole body because it's a nerve. It definitely is a nerve that I'm rubbing on. And as soon as I don't have to do that, no, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to do the old school Dorian. I'm going to be in the gym with a sling on because it's oddly enough, I started this sport where my legs were overpowering my upper body. And then what I did is I took a time off on them and I really tried to focus on my back and my chest and get everything else up. And now my legs don't suck, but they need to be stepped up a little bit. So now I was even looking at it like, man, what a coincidence. I need to get on my legs. Now I have to take a break on my upper body. And my left arm is way smaller than my right. I was even already before this injury saying I'm going to start doing my left arm on its own. So I'm ready to go into the gym. I'm ready to go into the gym and do left arm and legs all day, every day. I have no problem with that. But I'm just so reliant on these painkillers. It's just such a shitty life, man. I get how people get addicted to these, you have to get on them for an injury, and then getting off, it's just like, oh, fuck, I got to go back to like a regular life. But I would be so excited to get back into the gym. That's not ever going to be a problem with me. I don't have an addictive personality anyway, but it's just, and I'm losing weight every day. You're not eating on these fucking things,
Yeah, I was thinking, you don't really eat, you don't really poop.
Yeah,
just kind of comfortably numb, basically.
Comfortably numb. They don't even know what song that is.
Yes, they do. Come on. If you don't know Comfortably Numb, I don't want you watching Ronlines anymore, you bums. No, please keep watching. Yeah, that's one of my favorite songs. But, I don't know if you...
I've been through way worse, way worse.
Yeah. But that's crazy. I didn't know you never had an injury. You never had a training injury all this time.
Knock on wood, Jesus.
Yeah, but I don't know anybody that's, how long
Nothing.
would you say you've been training consistently? Like 20 years, a little more?
So I started when I was 20. No, 16 years. Because
Okay,
I didn't.
still. Huh?
People don't know. I didn't even start lifting a weight until I was about 21.
Wow. And you were like 150 pounds when you started?
145.
145. Wow.
So
Wow.
ridiculous. 6 foot, 145.
Wow.
It's 145, but 6 foot, I was just bones.
And your highest body weight ever was?
315.
So that's 2 point something, people. Do the math. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do get a calculator up, but that's crazy, man.
Whatever it is, it doesn't equal out that I'm anything. Whatever that math is, it still equals out not as good as his father.
Jesus Christ, man. So I mean, the Arnold is coming up too soon. So this Arnold is out for you, correct?
No, I'm not ruling it out. I
Not ruling
can't.
it out?
Can't. I feel like, and that's the worst part. When I started prep, I was like, man, if Rolly and Rami come in off, man, I could win the Arnold, which is so insane because I feel like those are the only two people that I really have to beat, and because the other people we named aren't doing it. So the fact that I was thinking about, even just thinking about winning the Arnold, it's so nuts. I've been watching the Arnold since I was a child. To even just say out of my mouth, because people know I don't say I'm going to win shows. So to even to say that I was even going to go into that, and then now thinking about passing it up, I can't accept that yet. So I'm still on. You know what? The only downside would be is that I'm not training my chest, and we know my chest sucks. So really, it's not like I'm like gonna lose a show because I didn't have good shoulders or something like that. It's just really my chest that I'm gonna be missing out on, but I'll fucking get on it. So I'm not ruling it out. I'll know next week when I get that MRI what's going on. But no matter what, I'm gonna be around because I want to work the Olympia. I think I'm gonna work the Olympia with you guys. We'll do some
Dude, you have no idea how psyched I am to have you. I'm holding you to that. Sergio Oliva Jr. on the wrap-ups, guys. Oof, I cannot wait to hear your breakdowns of these things. It's going to be nuts. I lost you there for a second. There you go. We're back. So, yeah, that's going to be cool, man.
You know what it is? It's fucking AJ. AJ blowing my phone up.
Oh, is it really? AJ from Norway. You know what time it is in freaking Norway right now? I think they're 6 hours ahead of me. It's 8 p.m. where I am almost. So it's 2 a.m. for that guy. Jeez, AJ.
AJ, go to sleep, bro.
No, I've gotten messages at him at 1 a.m. his time, 3 a.m. his time, 4 a.m. his time. No,
I think he's partying with Bayeki right now. I think that's what they're doing.
Must be quite a party. That show's been over for a while.
Yeah. Right.
All right, cool. Well, I've taken up enough of your time. You need to get some rest. Get that sling in a comfortable resting spot somewhere. I don't know, but yeah, thanks for catching up. I'm psyched about working the Olympia with you. It's gonna be a blast, man.
No, it's gonna be good for sure. It'll be a lot of fun because I actually haven't been doing any interviews. I've just been taking a break. I just feel like what a lot of these guys do, not you, and you really proved that with your Akeem interview. But a lot of the times, guys have me on their show and they want me to say things that they want to say, and then when shit blows up, when I've only said the truth, then they kind of like back away and then let me take the blunt of it, and it's just like, yo, what the fuck? All I did was say you subtract 4 people, add 4 people, you move up, just little things, whatever it is, or stupid shit with Akeem. So I've actually been taking a break with interviews because I'm tired of people using me because the sport is boring. And that's really what it's coming down to. This shit is boring as hell, and everyone wants to give the take your vitamins and say your prayers speech. But, sometimes, man, people need to be called out, and you can call me out all the time. I'm never, ever going to get mad because someone said the truth, like attacking me because of something, because I'm not living up to my dad or I messed up or something like that. That's ridiculous. But if you were like, man, you know what? You're sucking at this and you need to step it up, I would love that constructive criticism. But there are red pill and blue pill people in this sport. And unfortunately, the majority of the blue pill. And I come on and I spill red pill and then I'm the bad guy. So I haven't done an interview in a while, and I'm probably only going to do yours for a while. I'm done.
Oh, dude, awesome. That's a Matrix reference. Come on. I hope you guys at least know the Matrix. How young are you people?
They don't know. They don't know Pink Floyd. They don't know Matrix. They don't know.
No, the Matrix. Come on, everybody knows Matrix, right?
Yeah, they have to.
It's been 20 years, I know. But
they're doing a new one. The new one's going to come out. It was supposed to. They're already supposed to start filming it.
With Keanu Reeves?
Yeah. It's going to be really good.
Yeah. I didn't think he'd ever be Neo again. He's getting up there in age,
Yeah, he is. Yeah, they must have talked him into it.
I mean, I don't get tired of John Wick movies. Keep making those, Keanu, please. Those movies are great. Anyway, yeah. All right, guys. Please follow Sergio on his social media, which I believe is Sergio Oliva Jr.
No, it's just my name, Sergio Oliva Jr.
Sergio Oliva Jr. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
you can find him. And
yeah.
yeah, check out. And does Cosmic Industries have an Instagram page?
Yeah, Cosmic is cosmic-industries.com.
Gotcha. Go check that out. I'm gonna look at the product, the label designs, and all that because I know they're gonna be kind of trippy, and I'm into all that cool shit. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah. The
all
new
right.
products we have coming out are gonna be really good, so I'm really excited. But I love the shirt. Always representing. I love it. I know you're doing it for me and not your wife, so don't.
You're my third favorite half Cuban. How's that? And by saying that, I just pissed off 11 nephews and nieces who are also half Cuban. You know, my kids. Sorry, guys. My kids and then Sergio Jr.
All right, I'll take it.
Oh, wait, Hunter. We got to throw Hunter in there. He's half Cuban too.
Hunter doesn't count because he's white. He looks more white than anything.
Did you know my son? My son, he feels gypped because he looks so white that no one would ever suspect he's Latino. He's half Cuban. And my wife's uncle, late uncle, Piki, he used to call him queso crema, which means cream cheese, because he was
Right.
so pasty white. Poor kid.
Yeah, people don't know. Me and Hunter are the exact same nationality.
Yeah. Well, that's right.
Nuts.
Well, so his mom and your mom are both whatever
Yeah,
European
yeah,
countries.
exactly. Mm-hmm.
That's why you guys look identical. He's like, dude, he's like you look like your dad, but I see your mom and you too. When I look at him, I just see Lee.
It's just Lee, right? It
It's
is.
almost it's like a clone. It's
No,
crazy. He should grow the little mustache.
his mom's like 6'2". She's super tall.
Yeah,
No, he definitely didn't get any of those. In those two.
yeah. That's how he ended up 5'9" instead of 5'5" or 5'6". So.
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
guy.
I appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, thanks for watching Ronline Report with this guy, Sergio Oliva Jr. We'll see you at the Olympia. Bye-bye.